Hello, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to Lucid's Advanced Manufacturing Plant in Casa Grande, Arizona. Today is Friday, November 15th, 2024. As soon as I took off today, I saw a little bit of activity with one car carrier leaving. It's kind of nice to see that. We'll see a couple of other car carriers inside as we continue to travel around the factory. And a couple of additional car carriers being loaded right now, including one enclosed one. I was down here a couple weeks ago and I saw regular air sedans being loaded into the enclosed transport trailers. So it's tough to tell if that's for anything special or if it's just for the regular cars, perhaps making a further journey than some of the open carriers that we see that are a little bit more prevalent. But there's more cars out here now than I think would actually fit in those two carriers. This is the staging lots, just taking kind of a still picture here of the two staging lots so that you can compare it to 3 weeks ago. Overall, the amount of cars that I'm seeing here is pretty much the same as it was three weeks ago, which means that deliveries or shipments are pretty much matching production. I'm not seeing an increase or decrease in the number of cars that are on these staging lots. A good mix of cars. I'm assuming by now most of these are 2025s. There might still be a few 2024s, but I've heard through the Lucid Owners Forum that there really aren't too many 2024s left, so most people are looking at 2025s. There are still discounts for inventory and on-site cars, so I think a lot of people snatched up those 2024s at a good price when they were available. And we'll just move on over here. We're flying to the east now, looking at these staging lots. Charging area will be coming up on our right a little bit further. And there it is. And as usual, there's multiple vehicles there charging. And then we'll take a look at the little surface test track to see if there's anything interesting up there. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Not a whole lot of cars parked around there today. Doesn't really look like there's anything going on that. There's a few cars down here and closer to the factory buildings. Didn't see any gravity there, so everything that I saw today was the air sedan. And now we'll just start back up on the north side of the factory and do our typical fly around the factory. It's a nice day here in Arizona. It's about 70 degrees out, a little bit of haze in the background, but overall it's a very pleasant, very beautiful day. And the factory's looking in nice shape today. The employee lot looks pretty similar to what I saw 3 weeks ago as far as number of employees. I don't know if that would be the same if I came down on a Monday or if there would be more employee cars here. But overall, it looks like the number of people working here on a Friday is pretty comparable to what it was 3 weeks ago. So on the right there is the new and old body in white and the stamping in the background. In the background here in the center of the image is the paint shop. And then we're moving down to the general assembly area and really a lot of the expansion of the factory. There's warehousing and powertrain in this expanded factory area also. It's good to see a lot of activity here on a Friday morning. And we'll just continue on down. I'm kind of curious if the tire tracks from the September 10th demonstration of the gravity are still on the pavement. So we'll see that in a little bit as we get further down. So this is still the general assembly areas we're looking at in the background and warehousing. I think on the back left there is where the powertrain assembly area is, the battery and electric motors. And we're getting close to the area where that gravity demo was done back on September 10th during the technology demonstration days. They were demonstrating both Sapphire launches and gravity steering and turning, and you can see those tire marks from the gravity kind of slalom course they were running, or I'm not sure what to call this course, are still there. They're not doing any parking in this area. This lot is fenced off like the adjacent one. These are the lots where they used to have the old 2023 inventory cars, and as we saw last time, there are no inventory cars to be seen here, so that's a good sign. It tells me most of that inventory is going down, and as we saw in the delivery and production numbers for Q3, it's to be expected because deliveries are far outpacing production, so that's kind of nice to see the amount of production and the number of days of inventory decrease. I believe, according to my calculation, there's about 4 months of inventory still. If you take the cumulative production and subtract off the cumulative deliveries, I expect that to keep coming down until it's under 3 months. I think it would be a good number for a small company like Lucid that's still not delivering a lot of cars. And again, these are the staging lots as we continue to fly around the factory. And once we get past the staging lots, we'll fly up the backside of the factory, because there are some lots on the backside that used to be used, but I haven't seen anything for months on those lots. But it's always worth it to take a look up there and see if anything is happening. So I don't know if Lucid is trying to, ramp their production here in November, expecting that it'll kind of decrease during the holiday season of Christmas and New Year's if factory employees take time off. And in order to meet their delivery and production numbers, which they just recently said that they were on track to do, they might be building a little bit in advance here. But again, I still expect Q4 deliveries to exceed Q4 production. Here's taking a look to the east. We're at the south end of the factory, and we'll just fly along the back side or the west side of the factory looking east. We can see the car carriers there being loaded. It's kind of nice to see those. And like I said before, more cars there than the 2 carriers that are remaining, one partially loaded, can haul. So I would expect more car carriers to show up later today. And once we get up into the warehousing area and the receiving docks, we might start to see a little bit more activity as we see trucks coming in and going here. Do see a lot of dumpsters, like that one truck that we see there in the background, I believe is a dumpster. As I was flying, I would see them drive by on the road out of the factory. So I think they're still cleaning up both inside and outside from the equipment installation and the factory construction. Here we are, where you can see the conveyor bridge from the body in white and paint shop area over to the general assembly area. And this is the paint shop area that we're looking at now. I'm just going to back up a little bit so that we can see it. I'm actually nowhere near the building because of the angle of the lens, but we'll get a better view if I back up a little bit, so that's what we're doing. And as we continue on to the north as we're flying, you'll start to see the stamping area come into view here on your left. And this is the back side of the stamping area. And I've said before, this is the old staging lot for prior to the factory expansion. And there's really not a whole lot going on there except storage, so that makes sense. And coming up here in a second, we're going to take a quick look at what happens to all the shipping crates that equipment arrives in. What we see here is an industrial chipper or industrial shredder taking those crates by the bucket full and shredding them up. It's kind of interesting to see that. And thanks for watching.